it's actually a negative sort of law. You cannot use their likeness without compensation.
Right.
So it's not trying to set up a structure for compensation.
Okay.
It's just saying if you're going to do this, you have to pay them.
Right.
And then
you're right. It's different than on pitching, which actually makes
more
the fact
sense.
but it makes the fact that the NCAA is like, what?
Yeah.
We can't make money off their likeness? Well, this is ridiculous. That's outrageous.
Oh, well, everything the NCAA does is outrageous. I mean, what the NCAA is saying is they sent a letter to the members of the assembly in the state of California and said, your law would violate our rules as currently written, and therefore your state schools wouldn't be able to participate in athletics.
In NCAA sanctioned.
Yes, that's right. In the NCAA championships and the NCAA affair, which is like probably if you had to pick the worst state to pick the fight with, California is the worst state to do it with because, I mean, let's be honest. California doesn't need any other state in the union to operate. They are the 5th largest GDP in the world by themselves. They are their own country. They could sever off and be just fine. They produce more than enough food for themselves. They produce most of the food for the country, really. They have their own tech economy. They're self-sufficient. They're huge, self-sufficient, big population. And so, I mean, if I was in the assembly,
my God,
I would be, let's do this. Let's have the hearing. Yeah. Come on, Emmert. And I would, Nevada Assembly doesn't have subpoena rights, but I'd be like, cool, let's read this letter into the record and let's have this fight. NCAA, here's the hearing date. Send somebody. And, of course, they'd send some lackey that would totally blow it. Mm-hmm. And then we pass it. And on top of it, in the back door of it, I would be talking to Pac-12 states, right? That's most you're going to be the biggest money coming into your state. Talking to all the affiliated. I try them all, right? Everything that runs through my state, I'd say, hey, we've made some model legislation. I'd like to give it to one of your state legislators who you think is going to be friendly for this kind of thing, who will run the bill, and let's just do it all together at once. And we'll make the West its own athletic association, truly. And forget the Eastern sports. We can't even stay up late. They can't stay up late enough to watch our stuff. Anyway.
The Pac-12 already gets dissed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the conference as a whole already gets screwed. Not in the Olympic sports because it's represented well there because there's no arbitrary vote. There's no stupid ranking system. I almost dropped an F-bomb. There's no ranking system, like you just said, like you alluded to, where you've got people in the Midwest, the South, and the Northeast who will readily admit, I don't watch their games.
Yeah.
So how can I ever vote objectively on the Pac-12? God, I hope California goes through with this. Let's go. Because we've talked about it forever with the NCAA. You don't have to exist.
Yeah.
If the Pac-12 just wanted to break off, screw off.
Yep. I agree.
What does the NCAA actually do? They can't enforce their own rules.
They can't enforce their own rules.
They enforce them arbitrarily, unfairly. Clearly with some of the penalties that have been handed down in the last 25 years, they're never going after the big boys.
I mean, and I think
that's USC.
What's likely to result from this, if the California legislators actually have thought about this issue and are already banded together to stick together, because for all we know, this could be one legislator who had an idea and ran it, and everybody else is like, well, I don't want controversy. I need to get reelected. That stuff happens too, and it super sucks. But it's a good policy issue. But what could happen out of all this is a situation in which they allow the athletes to effectively unionize or to negotiate as a whole to come up with some compensation system. Hey, if you're in a TV commercial, that's $5,000. If you're in a video game, that's $10,000. Mm-hmm. If you sell a jersey, you get $1 for every jersey. Whatever it is, just a standardized system so everybody's playing off the same sheet of music rather than, oh, we paid this guy $1 million to hawk some cars. Well, no, you were just getting around the rules. You wanted them to go to Oklahoma or whatever it was.
It's so interesting because I had the same reaction you did initially of, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
This thing's actually already cleared the Senate, and I know it's buried in committee in the Assembly right now, but California being California, it feels to me like there's at least enough momentum that we can have a serious discussion about this, right?
I think the serious discussion should happen now. Yeah. It's far enough along the process that it's gaining this kind of attention. And you're right. California is the one state legislature where you're going, these national organizations go to it and say, hey, we can't operate in California if you pass this law. Like, meh, I don't believe you. We'll find out. We're going to pass the law anyway.